The .45 Automatic Colt Pistol round has rightfully earned its reputation as one of the most respected and battle-proven handgun cartridges ever made. With more than 100 years of service under its belt, this round has become legendary for its raw stopping power and consistent performance. It's best known as the heart of the iconic 1911 pistol, a sidearm that served in global conflicts, law enforcement units, and in the hands of civilian shooters who value trust over trends. Most folks familiar with guns know the basics of the .45 ACP, but there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Its story is filled with unexpected turns, enhanced performance, and firearms chambered for it that go far beyond the usual suspects. There have been forgotten handguns built around the .45 ACP, strange tweaks to the way it's been used, and a number of attempts to reshape the cartridge into something new, many of which didn't catch on. In this in-depth breakdown, we'll take a look at where the .45 ACP came from, some of the wildest ways it's been reimagined, and facts that even seasoned shooters might not know. If you think you've got this round all figured out, hang tight, you might still pick up something new. The origin of the .45 ACP goes back to the Philippine-American conflict in the early 20th century. American troops found that their standard-issue .38 long Colt revolvers lacked the knockdown power needed to stop the Moro warriors who were known for charging through gunfire with near unstoppable resolve. That hard lesson pushed military leaders to demand a sidearm round with greater punch. The answer came in the form of a new cartridge, and by 1911, the United States military had officially adopted the M1911 pistol to go along with it. This moment reshaped the future of American sidearms. Jump ahead to the Second World War and you'll see that same .45 ACP pistol being handed to Filipino resistance fighters to help in their fight against Japanese occupation. In a way, it brought the cartridge full circle, developed in response to battle-hardened warriors from the region and then returned to arm the next generation of freedom fighters. By then, the .45 ACP had already become known for stopping threats with authority, especially in close-quarters fighting. For those wondering why the .45 remains a favorite, its roots help explain the loyalty it still commands today. From battlefield trenches to urban defense, the round continues to prove itself where it counts most. Here's something not everyone knows: the .45 ACP nearly became a dedicated revolver cartridge. Back during World War I, there weren't enough M1911 pistols to meet the Army's demand. So the government asked Colt and Smith & Wesson to convert their large-frame revolvers to handle the .45 ACP. The result? The M1917 revolver, a gun that carved out its own piece of firearms history. But there was a technical hitch. .45 ACP is a rimless round, and revolvers usually rely on a rimmed case for proper alignment and easy ejection. That problem was solved with the invention of half-moon clips, metal rings that held 3 cartridges each, allowing the revolver to chamber and eject rimless rounds efficiently. The idea came from Joseph Wesson at Smith & Wesson, who generously allowed Colt to use the same system without royalties. Thanks to that collaboration, both companies were able to crank out revolvers quickly and send them straight to the front lines. The M1917 models weren't just used in World War I, they served in World War II, Korea, and even in the tunnels of Vietnam. These hefty wheel guns earned respect for their strength and their ability to handle the stout .45 ACP round without complaint. While fans of Colt and Smith & Wesson often had their own favorites, both revolvers were regarded as effective tools in combat. Later on, to eliminate the need for moon clips, engineers introduced the .45 Auto Rim, a cartridge with a built-in rim, allowing shooters to load directly into the revolver cylinder. Decades later, these surplus revolvers and their unique ammunition still show up at gun ranges and collector meets. Some shooters even enjoy keeping them alive as working pieces of American history. Some shooters say the .45 Automatic Colt Pistol round kicks too hard, but the truth is a bit more nuanced. Sure, it has more recoil than the 9mm, but a lot of folks find it perfectly manageable. That's because the .45 usually runs at lower chamber pressures and muzzle velocities compared to something like the 10mm Auto or the .357 Magnum. A typical load in .45 ACP pushes a 230-grain projectile at about 830 feet per second. By comparison, a 10mm round with a 180-grain bullet can break 1,200 feet per second, delivering a much sharper recoil impulse. Recoil, though, isn't just about numbers. The way a handgun is built makes a big difference. A low-bore axis helps cut down on muzzle rise, and a heavier frame will soak up more of that recoil energy. Take the classic M1911, for instance. Its all-steel construction goes a long way in taming that pushback. Then there's shooter technique. A solid grip, stiff wrists, and a forward-leaning stance can dramatically improve control. Recoil feels very different depending on how you hold and shoot the gun. At the end of the day, felt recoil is a personal thing. What feels snappy to one shooter might be barely noticeable to someone used to shooting high-powered calibers. If you've never put rounds downrange with a .45 ACP pistol, you might be surprised at how comfortable it really is when paired with the right firearm and shooting form. Now, a lot of people think the .45 ACP hasn't changed much over the years, but that's not quite true. There have been several high-pressure versions created to push its limits. The .45 Super is a good example. It shares the same exterior dimensions as the standard round but uses thicker brass and higher pressures to generate more velocity. Then there's the .460 Roland, which stretches the case and brings Magnum-class performance into the semi-auto world. Glock even came up with the .45 Glock Automatic Pistol, better known as the .45 Gap, shortening the case to fit compact frames. And let's not forget the .45 Detonix Magnum, which extends the case to increase internal capacity and pressure. All of these cartridges were designed to do something specific, some to fit into smaller handguns, others to pack more punch. Not all of them caught on, but they show how much potential the original .45 ACP blueprint had. Whether you want more speed, more power, or a smaller grip, there's probably a specialized .45 out there that fits the bill. Back in 2003, Glock and Speer teamed up to develop the .45 Gap. The idea was to shrink the cartridge while keeping the same ballistics as the .45 ACP. This allowed Glock to build pistols with grips the same size as their 9mm and .40 caliber models, making them more comfortable for shooters with smaller hands. A few law enforcement agencies jumped on board, thinking it was the perfect middle ground between firepower and ergonomics. But over time, interest faded. Ammo was harder to find, prices were higher, and manufacturers started offering slimmer .45 ACP pistols anyway. Eventually, most departments went back to more common calibers. Today, the .45 Gap has a small but loyal following, while the tried-and-true .45 ACP remains the go-to choice thanks to its deep roots and proven track record. The legacy of the .45 ACP doesn't stop at handguns. It also has a legendary place in the world of submachine guns. The most iconic example is the Thompson submachine gun, affectionately known as the Tommy gun. Designed by John T. Thompson during the First World War, it was intended as a trench broom for clearing out enemy positions in close quarters. Chambered in .45 ACP, the Tommy gun earned fame for its stopping power and became infamous during Prohibition when gangsters turned it into a symbol of organized crime. It later went on to serve American troops in the Second World War. That said, the Thompson wasn't cheap or light. Its cost and weight led the military to seek out a simpler, more affordable alternative. Enter the M3 grease gun, a stamped metal subgun that also fired the .45 ACP. It had fewer moving parts, fired at a slower rate, and was easy to maintain, making it ideal for use in tight spaces like tanks or armored vehicles. The .45 ACP went on to power several more compact submachine guns over the years. The MAC-10 came along in the 1970s with a much higher rate of fire, and though it was more notorious than practical, it became a part of firearms culture. In more recent years, the Chris Vector brought something truly different to the table with its recoil mitigation system that directs energy downward instead of straight back. That design made it easier to control in full auto bursts. From trench warfare to modern-day SWAT teams, the .45 ACP has proven its value not just in handguns, but in submachine guns as well. Its legacy is still alive and well, and if you've ever fired one of these weapons, you know why shooters continue to respect what this heavy-hitting round brings to the table. For reloaders, the .45 Automatic Colt Pistol is a cartridge that checks nearly every box. Its relatively low chamber pressure allows spent brass to be reused several times before showing signs of fatigue. Because it has a straight-walled and rimless case, resizing is straightforward and it cycles smoothly in most semi-automatic platforms. Another major bonus is the broad range of bullet weights you can work with, from lightweight 155-grain projectiles up to the classic 230-grain loads. That kind of flexibility makes it perfect for handloaders tailoring rounds for different uses, whether you're working up target loads, range ammo, or defensive carry rounds. An added perk? Many standard factory loads with 230-grain bullets stay under the speed of sound. That means if you're running a suppressed pistol, you're not dealing with that supersonic crack that higher velocity rounds produce. Between its easy-to-reload design, bullet variety, and excellent performance with suppressors, the 45 ACP is a goldmine for people who like to experiment at the reloading bench. Once you start dialing in your own loads, it's easy to get hooked on just how much you can do with this cartridge. Now, let's rewind to the Vietnam War. Few roles were more dangerous or claustrophobic than that of the tunnel rats, those brave soldiers who crawled into dark, booby-trapped underground passages used by the Viet Cong. Most of them carried the standard issue M1911 chambered in 45 ACP. But using a powerful round like the 45 inside such tight, echoing tunnels had serious downsides. The loud report and intense muzzle flash could leave a soldier momentarily disoriented, messing with their hearing and ruining night vision. Because of those problems, some tunnel rats swapped out the M1911 for suppressed handguns, most often chambered in .38 Special or even .22 long rifle. These alternatives offered a quieter report and minimal flash, allowing for better awareness and stealth in those nerve-wracking tunnel systems. While many still stuck with the 45 for its stopping power, others relied on knives or close combat techniques when noise discipline was more important than raw firepower. Something you may not have run across before. The 45 ACP also comes in a shotshell variant, commonly known as rat shot or snake shot. These loads are filled with tiny lead pellets inside a plastic capsule that bursts on firing, scattering shot across a wide area. They're not made for defense against people, they're specialized for small pests in tight spaces like barns, sheds, or workshops. Because the shot has such low velocity and shallow penetration, there's much less risk of ricochet or damage to surrounding areas. That said, not all semi-autos cycle these shot shells reliably. Some pistols will stovepipe or fail to extract. So if you're planning to carry rat shot in your 45, be sure to test function thoroughly. They're a fun and useful tool in the right setting, and they go to show just how adaptable the 45 ACP really is. From self-defense to pest control, it's a round with more utility than people give it credit for. And believe it or not, the 45 ACP has made its way into the rifle world, too. One standout is the Marlin Camp carbine, which was available from the mid-1980s through the late 1990s. Came in both 9mm and 45 ACP, but the latter gained popularity because it accepted standard M1911 magazines. It used a blowback action, had a short barrel, and was ideal for casual plinking or ranch duty. Beyond that, some shooters have taken things a step further, customizing lever-action rifles like the Marlin Model 1894 to run the 45 ACP. It's no simple task, as it involves reworking the chamber and tweaking the action to function with a rimless cartridge. Still, it's been done, and it shows how creative gun owners can get with a versatile round like this one. A 45 ACP carbine gives you soft recoil, good accuracy, and compatibility with your handgun ammo, making it a great pairing for shooters who want simplicity and value. If you stumble across one at a local shop or gun show, it's definitely worth picking up just for the novelty. And that wraps it up. The 45 ACP has come a long way from powering the original M1911 and the famous Tommy gun to finding a home in modern carbines and even some offbeat custom builds. There have been versions built for more power, others for compact carry, and some for specific tactical needs. If you know an obscure piece of 45 ACP history, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Until next time, shoot straight and stay safe.